So we were talking about whether free will exists and whether the world is deterministic or not. A line of thought that I borrow from someone else theorizes that if you were to drop a rock down a hill and you could calculate exactly the speed it's going at and any friction it encounters, you would be able to calculate exactly where it would land. Now, if you were to add a couple obstacles, some things in the way, if you were to introduce, say, the stronger winds, other variables, it'd get a bit tougher, but you could still more or less calculate where it would land. Well, if you kept adding variables upon variables, eventually the issue would get so complicated that there would be no way to calculate exactly where the rock would land. It could be in the pond, or it could be in the river next to it. And I think that's a good analogy for how people are, how people make choices, as we call it. There are so many variables that play into why we do what we do. Not just from the minute we're born, from the minute our ancestors were born. They went through, what did they go through? They developed immunities to illnesses, stronger genes. They became more resilient to the world when they were the survivors, right? Some of them may have been disabled. Some of them may have been more likely to suffer from certain diseases. Or,
autistic.
Yeah. You're born, you grow up, so much in the world influences you, determines how you see the world, how you see yourself. Perhaps free will arises out of a super complexity of variables. But I think it's more likely that if we were entities or beings of super intelligence, or we had computers that could calculate all the variables, we could input, all the data, all the variables that went into our lives. I think a theoretical uber supercomputer would be able to calculate what is the most likely choice that we will take to a high degree.
Well, what is the perfect choice to take in your life, or the best choice?
Not what the perfect choice is. What is the most likely choice that you're going to make?
Yeah, but
like the world doesn't know what is good or bad, right? The universe doesn't judge that.
Well, that's why you have coaches, like businessmen, like they have to take decisions in order to better their lives or something like that. Like everything is more calculated than the regular person, and I think a regular person should have a coach as well for their own lives, even if they're not like a high-ranking CEO or something. Like relationship choices, food choices, health choices, like all the cycles of life. Like you have to make a better choice or the best one, because why would you choose a lower choice?
I mean, if we had true free will, why would we need the coaches? Why couldn't we just choose the better choice? We need that environmental
We don't know that.
Variable.
Like, not many people know what's good for them. An example would be that autistic person. Like, he doesn't know what's good for him. He's just making money and playing video games. And I have a lot of suggestions for him, but I'm not gonna take over his life because it's not my responsibility. I could see him as a better person. It's just, it's like a full-time job. Like, he needs to get cleaned up. He needs to do this, do that. And he would feel better if he eats well. Like, he would feel better if he does this. Like, it's like, what would make you feel better? And what would better your career or better your identity? And, it's just self-improvement, yeah. And yeah, most people can't afford that.
Person, but right? This is an intelligent person, right?
He's very intelligent. He's in
so
the Mensa.
So he probably knows that a better diet would improve his life.
He doesn't know that. Okay, maybe he does know, but he doesn't give a shit. There's a problem.
Which is why I go back to determinism. I think that there have been influences in his life that have led him up to this point, and you could very much influence him in another direction, but it depends, right? Is he open to that influence? Have the influences of his previous life opened him up to new influences, and so on and so on. It's obviously on an individual level, we have to act as though we have free will, right? So I can't go out and start committing crime and blame my environment or my parents or whatever for making me do everything I did. Society has to operate as though free will exists to maintain some kind of culpability and responsibility, as I generally understand the world. I don't think any one person is responsible for what they do to a fundamental level responsible.
You don't think it's your fault the way you are at this moment in time? Like, every single decision has led you to this moment. Of course it matters. You can't just ignore the fact like things just happen to you. No, things do happen to you, obviously, but if it was the other way around, things would have been more ideal maybe, or at least hitting that mark.
I don't think I had any choice in being born where I was, or having the parents I had, or the friends, or the school I went to, or anything of that sort.
Maybe
I don't think I chose to read the books I read that made me want to be a writer. All those things kind of happened to me. I don't think I chose to take on this job. I just was super, super lucky to get it. Like, yeah, I know I'm proud of what I've achieved and all that stuff. And I think I've worked hard, and while it's 90% luck, it's 10% my own skill. But at a fundamental level, even my work attitude was instilled in me by my parents. My interest in certain topics that helps me write was, again, school, friends, parents.
Well, it could be said that everything in your vicinity is a part of your options, and your options define your choices. So pretty much like everything that's happened to all of us, we're just confined in our vicinity of choices that has led us to this point in time. And those choices are very like in your own sort of bubble, like in your own sort of circle, or in your, you're lucky to have talked to people who can fly and stuff, but they could have said no to you, but your bubble fitted their bubble, so that's how it collided. Maybe they read the same books, or they had the same vicinity of choices that they thought they belonged to each other. There was some sort of common ground that they took you in. If you were just some like guy on the street, like a beggar, I don't think they would have taken you.
Oh, for sure. But I had no influence over what their bubble was. That was complete luck that we happened to coincide.
And there are common grounds with the way people are, I guess.
I look at a lot of other writers who have done really good work and are really, really struggling. And I think, am I better than them? Not really. I look at people who have jobs in writing. They're terrible. They don't deserve to be there, but somehow they got there. And it's like, I put those two things together, and I can't believe that this is a world that arises out of free will, because it's unfair. The only way an unfair world could exist is if it was deterministic. If good people made the good choices and bad people made the bad choices, then would the world be a better place than it is right now?
Maybe the version of the world we're having includes these flawed characters. We're not in like the perfect version, or where everything goes right. If there are many worlds of the same